don't know if this will work. Well, thank you, Mr. President. First of all, I want to thank you for putting the safety and the security of the American people first, and the way that you never lose focus on making sure that America stays our priority and that the families that live here get the chance to grow up and to raise their children in communities that are safe and that give them an opportunity to pursue the American dream. This facility here is a fantastic representation of what can happen when all of government works together and when it's accountable to the taxpayers and to the citizens that live here. The President signed an executive order that allowed us to build partnerships with states and with local law enforcement officers, which is exactly how things should function in this country. More power, more authority given to people locally so that they can take control of their own destiny. And so we have already been working under the 287G program to deputize law enforcement officers, whether they be state highway patrol, local sheriff's departments in all of our states, and allow them to go out with our ICE officers, our Border Patrol officers, and make sure that we're getting the worst of the worst off of the streets. We also recognize that as we've been doing that and returning people back to their home countries, that we need detention facilities. We need beds to put them in place so that they can have their due process before they return home. And this facility is exactly what I want every single governor in this country to consider doing with us. What happened to start this conversation was that a young man named Jimmy Percival in my office, my general counsel, who came from Florida and used to work here, called up the Attorney General and the governor and said, hey, what do you think about partnering with us on a detention facility that we could put in place that would allow us to bring individuals there? There's an airstrip close by. You guys volunteered the assets that you have and the connections that you have and worked with Kevin extensively so that we could come here, have their due process given, and return them home to their countries. And in 8 days, this facility has been stood up. And I want everybody to recognize that detention facilities that ICE adheres to is a higher standard than is required at state levels, at local Department of Corrections facilities, sheriff's offices. This is a state-of-the-art facility, air-conditioned, isolated, though, for security purposes, which is very helpful. And I appreciate so many people being willing to work together to make a project like this happen. Right here on this location, we'll have about 3,000 beds. Other location will have another 2,000 beds that will allow us to bring individuals across the country that we are bringing in and incarcerating for violating our laws and immediately get them out of the country as soon as we possibly can. It's exactly what we need to be perpetuating in other states. And what I would say is I want all of you to notice these flyers that we've got, is that everybody who sees these flyers or anybody who sees these news clips should know you can still go home on your own. You can self-deport. If you go on the CBP Home app and go home now, you will get the chance to come back to the United States legally. You will get the chance to come back and do it the right way. If you don't, you may end up here. And you may end up here and being processed, deported out of this country, and never get the chance to come back. That is the consequences of breaking the law in the United States of America. Listen, our job is to uphold the law. This is a country of laws. We have a border now, and because we have a president that cares and recognizes that we need to be a nation of borders and a nation that upholds the law. If you break the law, there's consequences. We will deport you and you will never get to be a United States citizen. You'll never even get to come back here and work and to pursue the American dream. But if you decide you want to go home now, go home. And we'll help facilitate it. We'll buy your plane ticket. We'll get you there. In fact, I just got back from Panama, Costa Rica, Guatemala, Honduras. Those countries are excited to get their citizens home. They're setting up programs to loan them money to buy houses when they get there, help them with food assistance, get their children educated, scholarships. They want their citizens that are living here in the United States illegally to come home and to be a part of their economy and help their countries grow. So this is a win-win for everyone. And I just want to end, Mr. President, by thanking our law enforcement officers, by thanking our ICE officers and our Border Patrol officers for what they do every day. They are out on the streets, and violence against them has increased over 500% since Trump has gone back into the White House, because he's upholding the law and because a bunch of liberals, socialists, and Marxists are out there lying about what President Trump is doing. President Trump is upholding freedom by what he is doing. The freedom to live safely in this country and to do things legally and to have justice. And because those liberals, and I'm calling out you, CNN, I'm calling you out because you lie every single day about what these operations are. We are going after murderers and rapists and traffickers and drug dealers and getting them off the streets and getting them out of this country because Joe Biden let the worst of the worst come in here. The other day I was talking to some marshals that have been partnering with ICE. They said that they had detained a cannibal and put him on a plane to take him home, and while they had him in his seat, he started to eat himself. And they had to get him off and get him medical attention. These are the kind of deranged individuals that are on our streets in America that we're trying to target and get out of our country because they are so deranged they don't belong here. And they shouldn't be walking the streets with our children. And they shouldn't be living in the communities with our families who just want to grow up, go to job, raise their children to grow up and get a job and to live the American dream. So thank you to all of our law enforcement officers, those in our military that have been helping, our National Guard. Thank you to Governor DeSantis for stepping up and being an example to other governors. I hope my phone rings off the hook from governors calling and saying, how can we do what Florida just did? How can we do exactly what they did? Because we need this big, beautiful bill. We absolutely have to have this big, beautiful bill that has the funding so that we can continue this operation and we can get those bad criminals off of our streets and have the officers to do it so that when they go out on an operation, somebody's got their back. Somebody's got their back, they can do it safely, and they can go home to their families at night too. So this bill needs to pass through Congress so we have the resources at the Department of Homeland Security to make sure that our homeland truly is secure. And Mr. President, thank you for Stephen Miller. I just want to thank you for him. This guy calls me night and day and tells me all of his wise advice and wisdom, but he's a rock star because he loves this country and he's passionate about making sure that nobody is prioritized over an American citizen. We love everybody. We do. We love everybody.
Not everybody.
But, well,
a lot of people.
But we shouldn't be putting people illegally above citizens. We should be making sure that we do things right. And that's what America has always stood for, and we're an example to the rest of the world because we do it right. So, Mr. President, you surround yourself with great people, and I think that's because everybody wants to work for the greatest president that the United States has ever had, and that's President Donald J. Trump.
Thank you
very
much,
sir.
Kristi. That's
Thank
so
you for
nice.
your
Thank you.